Welcome to another episode of the Religion Law Podcast, where you learn about religious freedom and other religion law-related topics through a short question and answer format. I'm your host, Michael Fielding. Let's see how you do on today's quiz. Welcome to Religion Law Quiz number 51, numero 51. All right, when I drafted or wrote this original quiz, I did it to a group of attorneys. So as I begin to read it and I start talking about attorneys, please don't roll your eyes and say, this doesn't pertain to me. All right. Because the answer is it definitely will pertain to you. There's actually some very, very practical things you can take away from this. Again, I was just doing it in the context of attorneys. But when you see the answer, you'll see how it definitely applies to you. All right. So with that, I'm actually going to read right now what I originally wrote. So here's quiz 51. Larry, Janet, and Gina are each attorneys. Larry works for the state. Janet is in-house counsel for a corporation, and Gina does med-mal defense work. When they attend church and other civic events, they are regularly hit with questions like, "Oh, you are an attorney. Please tell me about this religious issue in my child's school." Or, "Please tell me what to do about this religious issue at work." Neither Larry, Janet, or Gina deal with this type of law, but they would like to help their friends. Where can Larry, Janet, and Gina point their respective friends to find some layman explanations of common questions dealing with law and religion questions? Where do you think? What would you say? Well, I'll say half jokingly that when I am listening to this podcast, I would say, well, hey, just listen to the Religion Law Quiz podcast, right? That's pretty self-serving, right? That maybe sounds a little self-aggrandizing, so I probably need to repent of that. But the answer that I wrote is there are obviously a lot of places on the internet where you can find stuff, but one good place to start that I think is a very good place to look at is the Nonpartisan International Center for Law and Religion Studies, which has a variety of PDF downloads dealing with religion law issues that people encounter. Now, some of the pamphlets that they have are, one is a Parent's Guide to Religion in the Public Schools. Another one is a Teacher's Guide to Religion in the Public Schools. The third one is Religious Freedom in the Workplace and Employees Guide. And then the fourth one is Religious Freedom in the Workplace and Employer's Guide. And again, this is at the International Center for Law and Religion Studies. I will put the link in the show notes so that you can click on it to take you to the web page there that they have for their brochures. And I've seen the brochures. I think they're pretty good. They just give some good practical advice, a little bit more of a deep dive on some of these topics, and they can be helpful in educating you. All right, short quiz today. Hopefully you found this helpful. Again, as always, if you find these quizzes helpful, I'd really appreciate you leaving a review, sharing the podcast with friends. We're just trying to get the message out here about these quizzes to help other people. And I'll say up front, just as you're thinking about that, I'm not doing anything to get advertising. I don't earn a single penny from anything here that I do. It frankly costs me a little bit of money just to, maintain the podcast. And then obviously the bigger commitment is the time of putting the quizzes, recording the quizzes, doing that sort of thing. But it's something that I have felt is really important that we need to do. We need basic education. We need to be able to broadly educate people in an easy to understand manner. And that's what I try to do here with these Religion Law Quiz podcasts. Don't keep them too long, but rather try to keep them kind of short and to the point with the big practical takeaway because we know we're all busy, but our faith is really important to us and we want to live it. All right. That does it for today's quiz. I appreciate you listening. I will see you again on the next Religion Law Quiz. Thank you for listening to today's episode. Remember, religion law quizzes are for educational purposes only and are not intended to be relied upon as legal advice. If you have found this episode to be helpful, please share it and leave a review. Until we meet again, keep being an influence for good.